Hi, I'm Brad Sarin, Superintendent of the Sun Prairie Area School District, and today I'm joined with Jamie Racine, Eric Nee, Jennifer Apodaca, Janet Thomas, Dr. Michael Morgan, Dr. Steph Leonard, and also Dr. Kurt Mold here to present a monitoring report for the Board Student Result Policy SR-3 Student Personal Development Outcomes. If you advance the slide. We're excited to report this to the board and the community because this represents a revised Student Result Policy 3 and also a new and revised monitoring report for the Board of Education. To remind you, the Student Result Policy 3 reads as, the district will make reasonable progress each year toward gaining the necessary social, emotional, and life skills to be successful in our school community and beyond, being future focused and skilled in long-range goal setting for their education, college, careers, and life, and participating in activities and experiences in and out of the classroom that prepare our students to engage and thrive in our diverse community. To better understand the methodology behind our metrics and assessments, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mold to do a little bit of explaining our progress descriptors. Dr. Mold?
Thanks, Dr. Sarin. You'll note that in the SR2 data report SR3 data report, at the top, there's a link to end of year, and that link that says end of year will actually take you to a progress descriptor key. One of the challenges with the new SRs that the administration needed to tackle was to determine how to best set both reasonable and ambitious goals and align those goals to a research basis. These documents will take you to information and evidence that points to both the research base and the reasonable goal setting standards that we set for each of the areas in both SR2 and SR3. When you click on the reasonable progress description key and that opens up, you'll see both the reasonable and ambitious goal setting language that we set and how we determined whether or not progress was made, progress was not made, or failure to make reasonable progress, or reasonable progress made with exceptions noted. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. In addition, at the bottom of the data-based report, you will see links to individual district and school playbooks. The board has asked us, and we've provided a deep dive into each of these measures. Each of these measures includes a disaggregated state where the information that is provided for each of those measures by school and by the district level are broken down into their disaggregated and focus group data slides or data points. And so at any point throughout this presentation, you are welcome to press pause to visit either the data playbooks or to visit the progress descriptor key and investigate how we determined whether progress was made and the status of that progress and those data points. And with that, I'm going to hand this over to my colleague, Janet.
Thanks, Kurt. So on slide 5, you can see that this board expectation demonstrates success in our system, as you saw in the SR3 cover sheet, the SR3 final report, and the data playbooks that Kurt was referencing. The expectation is for students to gain the necessary social, emotional, and life skills to be successful in our school community and beyond. The first two measures are categories within and directly related to our work in social emotional learning. We are making reasonable progress in these areas based on the student responses to our SEL competency survey given in the fall, winter, and spring. The last two measures are related to our disciplinary practices. We're making reasonable progress in those areas as well, based on the percent of students receiving these types of disciplinary practices. The following slide then, as I mentioned, students are reporting progress in the areas of emotional development and emotional development and social competence on the SEL competency survey. This slide shows the SEL competencies that were adopted by the steering committee, as well as students at Central Heights Middle School participating in some circle processing and friends at Eastside Elementary. Students are reporting progress and success in these areas. The next slide, then, the last two measures in expectation number one relate to data around our disciplinary practices. Data indicate reasonable progress in our expectation for students receiving behavioral incidents and out-of-school suspensions. This slide includes a snippet of our secondary behavior matrix, which is consistently reviewed and implemented. You will also see a picture of a group of educators participating in professional learning to increase restorative practices and decrease exclusionary discipline across our system. Jennifer.
Thanks, Janet. Board result expectation number 2 is for students to be future focused and skilled in long-range goal setting for their education, college, careers, and life. This is measured through, first of all, the percentage of students participating in college readiness and workplace learning, the percent of high school students successfully passing SP-30, which is where academic and career planning lessons occur, and self-concept, one of our social emotional learning categories. Relative to this expectation, we measure our students' reported abilities to set goals for themselves through the SEL competency survey. We are making reasonable progress in the second and third bullet points, and bullet point number 1, or measure number 1, is a baseline year. On the next slide, you have pictures of students engaging in workplace learning and youth apprenticeships. These are taking place at No Fear Dentistry, UW Health, Walgreens, our Professional Learning Center here in Sun Prairie, Quick Trip, and our District Support Center. These pictures reflect the relationship between SP-30 and academic and career planning activities. Specifically, we have a picture of students engaged in the ninth grade Networks food drive competition, and a screenshot of a grade 11 lesson on why choosing a post-secondary school matters to future goals. Goal setting work with students begins in elementary school and continues through graduation. Goal setting instruction takes a variety of forms. Here we have middle school SP-30 7th grade goal setting and a calendar of related lessons. On our next slide, we'll see the Root to Rise work-based learning partnership between Root to Rise and Sun Prairie West High School and Meadowview Elementary School on the left, and a goal setting for Life Beyond High School activity that PPA seniors engaged in last year. Finally, we share 2 examples of futures planning work that our students complete as part of our academic and career planning process. On the left, you can see an example of 4-year high school course planning work that's completed by 8th graders during SP-30. On the right, we have pictures of the post-secondary transition planning process that begins for students with disabilities at age 14 as part of the IEP process. The post-secondary transition plan helps students with disabilities and their families think about and plan for life after high school and the high school experiences that will support achievement of those goals. And I pass it over now to Dr. Morgan.
Hi, everybody. Board results expectation number 3 is for students to participate in activities and experiences inside and outside of the classroom that prepare them to engage and thrive in our diverse community. In essence, it's intended to ensure that students are well-rounded, both academically and socially successful. Board expectation number 3 Board expectation number 3 includes the following 5 measures: sense of belonging, high school grade proficiency by department data, all courses other than ELA, math, science, and social studies, high school credit attainment, again, focused in all areas other than ELA, math, science, and social studies, extracurricular involvement, and participation in community school-sponsored out-of-school times and activities. The spring student perception survey indicated that we made reasonable progress with students feeling a sense of belonging. Pictured here from left to right, you have East seniors on their graduation walkthrough at Prairie View Middle School. You have middle school students engaged in actively participating in fun on the playground, elementary students transitioning in their classrooms, and students getting together at East High School. Here you have students participating in electives, and captured are some examples of high school students in foods classes, um, in band classes, and ceramics, and in the bottom left, students engaged in choir. And I'm going to turn it over now to my colleague, Eric Nee, our athletic director at Sun Prairie West High School.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Within athletics and activities at the secondary level, we saw a 57% participation rate out of our students, like I said, at the secondary level. As reminded, last year we added or brought on boys volleyball. And as we continue to dissolve co-ops, we will continue to see that number increase. But just like we talked about last weekend, 2 weeks ago in our athletics and activities workshop, a lot of great things happening within the athletics and activities world. And just a few examples here between our dance team, our wrestling team, which is an example of what was a co-op year and last year, which will have their own 2 standalone programs this year, East and West High School. The new addition of our esports team, and then our track team, as well as our forensics team, who I know has been to a school board meeting. So now I'm going to take this and punt the ball over to Jamie.
Thanks, Eric. Community school-sponsored out-of-school time programs are measured by student participation rates in these after-school programs. So on the screen, you'll see pictures from our Saturday school with Hunter Blackman of Madison, after-school tutoring with PPA tutors and Creekside students, after-school dance classes, and Black Student Union meetings. These are just a few examples of some of the community schools sponsored out-of-school time activities that we've seen in our schools. We have a 15% 15% of the total student population at community school sites were enrolled in these activities. This number represents unduplicated enrollment. This is a 2% increase from the 22-23 school year. And now I will turn it back over to Dr. Leonard.
Thank you, Jamie. I always appreciate the Saturday school going to read with the kids that are there on Saturdays. It's a great program. Thank you. So as Brad said at the beginning of the presentation, we are bringing this forward, SR-3, as a rating of reasonable progress with exceptions noted. There are 12 assessed categories. 11 show reasonable progress and/or reasonable progress with exceptions noted. None of the assessments indicate a failure to make reasonable progress, and 1 data set is baseline data. So we did a look back in 22-24, which were the last opportunities or times that we brought forward information around SR-3. And here are some of the things we said we would do at that time. We brought forward the concept of SP30. We brought forward the idea that we need to continue to integrate SEL standards into the core learning experiences. We revised the curriculum renewal and design cycle. One of those was to ensure we were embedding SEL into the content areas. And the other area of focus at the time was ensuring that we were digging deeply on equity, cultural responsiveness, and inclusion of our diverse community. We also were embarking on the district-wide approach to restorative practices and working on revising grading and attendance guidelines and expanding our work-based opportunities. I'm happy to report that those are all things on which we've made progress, and you can see results of that work in the presentation this evening. As we look ahead to year 24-25, we will continue to implement our SEL universal curriculum. The SEL committee is gathered this year. Interestingly enough, they've been through all 6 years of the cycle and are now working towards round 2 of our SEL curriculum. We're going to continue our community building. You've seen some of the work around SP30 and expanding some of that time to build community with and among our students. We are going to implement our revised grading guidance and attendance guidelines and have more kids participate in work-based learning opportunities. With note to the attendance guidance, we've deeply articulated 612 and are working on the same process at the elementary schools. We're going to continue the implementation of our Courageous Conversation training for our athletic coaches, as well as developing our plans for those next steps. So this year, we've done some deep work in the month of August, training our athletic coaches, and we'll continue to do that work as well. We're going to continue our needs-driven out-of-school time programming for the community school sites, and we round out our restorative practices training with our final schools coming forward for that initial training and implementation, which means that every site in our school district has now had the initial training and are moving forward with restorative practices. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope you've taken an opportunity to press pause and dig deeply into the data that we've shared. As always, feel free to reach out ahead of time with specific questions that you'd like us to address. And we're looking forward to the conversation we have with you during our upcoming school board meeting. Thank you and take care.